Hello everyone and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel and I'll be your unboxer today. It's a double hitter today. Slice and Dice are here. Obligatory enemies of the Ninja Force. It's so wild to see the Ninja Force logo after all this time. Look at all these accessories. Holy smokes. Enough talking. Let's get right into it. Not that anybody exclusively refers to these characters by their numbers, but Slice and Dice together are number 160. As we see right here in the super up close cam. And they also have to share a piece of art. Poor guys. Oh man, look at those masks. So weird. We'll get into that in just a second. These guys have got a ton of stuff going on. But just for the box part of it, we can see Cobra Ninja Slice and Dice number 160. Cobra Ninja Force logo. I'm going to assume we're going to be seeing more of this, or they wouldn't have taken the time to work it up and put it on the box. Slice and Dice's art there on the side with the QR code. It looks like they both have their own sets of stats, which are labeled. On the back, we've got a cool little dial shot of both of them together. Big fan of both of these weapons. That's like their go-to weapons, so I'm excited to see that. This stuff I feel a little differently about. There's the funny hat. For some reason, they're showing his throwing stars on his bandolier like he doesn't have a dozen other accessories to look at. I don't even know what this is, so I guess we'll just have to get into it and check it out. Included with Slice and Dice are many things, including 4 alternate hands for slice, 2 for punching and 2 for chopping. 1 bandolier with 3 molded kunai on it. 1 singular sai. 2 hook swords. 1 alternate head for slice. 1 Big Trouble in Little China hat. 1 Good, the Bad, and the Ugly poncho. An alternate unmasked head for Dice. A dragon mask head. Bladed bow staff, 2 battle axes, 2 knives, 2 guitar, and 4 alternate hands for dice, 2 for punching and 2 for grabbing. That's a ton of stuff. Let's see how much of it actually is worth putting on the figure. I'm going to start with Slice first, just because he typically comes first in the naming algorithm. Slice is quite a bit different than the original V1 Slice, which we'll take a look at the end. But the stars are missing from his pants, and I totally get why they removed them, because it is kind of kiddie, but simultaneously it does take away. It's a detractor from, like, it makes him look a little less like Slice. In general, this Slice is very bulky. He's got a lot going on, whereas original Slice just kind of was wearing like a standard gi, or just like a bodysuit, basically. Slice's helmet is pretty much exactly the same. It's almost like a fencing guard helmet, and it's got some little flippies on the back so he can blow in the wind. His head articulation is just like normal on the standard ball joint. He does have his butterfly joints. He's got a bicep swivel that's kind of hidden by those pads. He's got double pinless. Good range. He's got his ab crunch. He's got the standard legs. They have a thigh cut, as we've come to expect. Real Deadpool vibes on the legs now that I'm checking them out. Same with our leg. Look at that. You guys see that discoloration on the knee? Something we saw with Footloose also. Has to be a change in plastic, but it's not as bad here, but it's definitely something to talk about. Boot cut, cleverly hidden there. And then our wiggle back and forth and up and down on our ankle. Let's look at his cosmetic appearance. We talked about the mask and the little, whatever you call the little flippies that come off of it. He does have a gi vibe going on here, like this is like a Japanese style robe, or something of that type. It does make it look like a ninja. He's just got a little bit more armor going on. Like now that we have these shoulder pads and we've got these like gauntlets. On the back, we see this is where I'm assuming where he stores his hook swords when he's not carrying them, or maybe one of the other various weapons. He's got plenty to choose from. He's got another little like sash tie back here. This could have probably been real cloth, and I think would have been a lot better, but at least it will move. Similar plastic color discoloration here, Not substantial, but you should be able to see it as well as I can. It's off by just a hair. He's got some kind of, I'm not sure what the, oh, it's for like one of the blades that goes in right there. So he's got like a little Assassin's Creed in reverse sheath there. All this stuff is like tied on and with like older, it looks like old fisherman's wire type. It looks good. He's got a some little like notches on his belt. Here's another rope for climbing or grappling. Goes all the way around and connects to the little Hello Kitty bow that he's got going on right there. And then you kind of see the end of that garment, and that's where the pants start. No stars here, but we've got some black, just so it's not just a plain red. I think just give them a little splash of color. It does, if you look at it from the bottom down, it's pretty Deadpool-esque, but we'll give it a pass. Boots are the same. I mean, you've got some texturing here that is reminiscent of just like ninja stuff, and then they've got a little red tie to kind of complete the ensemble. It's a good figure. It's just the right amount of flexible out of the box that you can you can pose him, but he's not like wiggling all over anywhere. This is a pretty solid figure. I do have some mixed feelings about the deviation from the outfit, but I'll save that for the comparison. Same thing with Dice. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Look at those claws, those teeth. Arr, arr, I'm a tiger. He's got the same, we'll do the same patterns, right? We got our butterfly joints, very well hidden under these. Bicep. Double pinless. Karate chopping hands. That range is very limited by that shoulder pad, as you might expect, but you can see that there's some issues with that if you're big into the posability and flexibility. We'll assume that's the same on the other side. Here's our ab crunch. Here's our leg test. Do the splits. We've got a pretty well hidden thigh cut too, based on this little hula skirt thing he's got going on. Let's check these knee caps. Oh, he's all twisted around. Come here, buddy. These look fine, color-wise, and it has to be something with the plastic. Bent really well too. I'm big on that. Boot cut, ankle wiggle, another solid standard design classified figure. Let's take a look at the actual looks of him. So I talked about this mask. I do like this mask a lot. They've just kind of added these Hawkeye Wolverine looking things and these like little teeth here, but all these little markings down here, that was all part of it. It was just more like a solid piece. They've turned it into like, you can distinguish better that it's a mask. He also has the little ribbon that comes off of it at the back, so they both look cool when they're flying through the air together. Shoulder pads we took a look at already. These could have been colored, but okay, some grenades. We've got some little, I don't know, this is the one thing I can't name, some little Japanese brass knuckle type thing with some rope on it. The arms are just plain. He's not wearing anything except for these little bracers and this little piece right here that are kind of dragon scale looking, which I think is nice. A little bit of a throwback. This is like a kind of a separate piece, so you can kind of move it around as you. I'm assuming it's supposed to cover either up here on the arm. Yeah, up here on the arm. Doesn't have one over here. Either that or it wiggled right off of him. We'll keep an eye out for that. Hopefully it's not missing. Same deal. He ain't got no sleeves, Lieutenant Dan. Belt is kind of this like complex looking thing. It's got all these. I would not assume these are wires because they're ninjas, but there is some kind of like linking cable here. Maybe it's for grappling or some scorpion. Get over here. Then he's got some pouches. The back is just the same with the bandoliers, crossover, his pants, and then this little like whatever the leftovers of this little, not a skirt, but he's just got a lot of like overhang here. Underneath, it's pretty much just plain purple pants. And then the boots we already talked about as well. They've just got that little legend on it. So both pretty solid figures. Look very good together, I would have to say. And they both look like, this is probably how I want them, to be quite frank. I'm going to talk about the accessories a little bit, but most of them do not do much for me. I'm not real big on all these alternate masks. I don't think this really fits in anywhere. I'm sure somebody has a great idea for it, but I don't have a use for this. This one is not as offensive in my eyes. This one actually looks kind of cool, but it's almost too realistic or maybe even scary for a G.I. Joe world, in my G.I. Joe world, I should clarify. So I don't love either one of those. I am a fan of this, of course. Any unmasked character is good to go with me. And he's got that cool, like, scar. They all kind of have been scarred and beat up over time, which I guess if you've been going at it for 40 years, you're bound to take a L at some point. But I do like all that. Well, let's gear these guys up and see what gear does work for them. Here's Slice in his Big Trouble in Little China gear. I can't really get... I do think this is cool. I could probably use this with another figure and really get quite a bit of value out of it. But for Slice, and it's just this like flat brown, I'm just not feeling it. Even with the other head, it changes him too much. It's not my cup of tea. Here's a quick look at him with the alternate head on. He does look very scary. This is borderline not even a Slice at this point. Like, you could pawn this off as a Red Ninja Immortal or something crazy. Like, you could make a new character out of him pretty easily. Not that I envision a lot of people only buying Slice and Dice and keeping Dice and not having anything to do with him. I also want to say that this small assembly of weapons right here that are all the same flat, basically gray with the exception of the Sai, seem very cheap. Like, I don't know if the camera will do it justice or not, but everything about it, from the lack of paint apps to the feel of the plastic, it just feels crappy, like dollar store toys. I'm not going to use this stuff at all. And I guess I should say, as an addendum to that these two figures together were $54.99. So you get like 20 accessories for an extra $5 based on the retail market. So I guess keep that in mind, that if you also see them and think they're crap, that we got a lot for the value. And that's probably part of it, because they didn't pay much for it. This is pretty much it. This is how I envisioned them as soon as they were announced. They have two very known weapons, and I wanted them to have them. Slice has his hook swords, and it does really start to paint a picture of the Slice that I remember now. And then Dice has his staff, which I am displeased with because it's very thin. I have always imagined this to be like Donatello's bow staff from TMNT, but this is really wiry. Like, it's super duper thin, and does make me also question how fragile it'll be over time. I feel like this could probably be improved. I don't hate it, but I see room for improvement, essentially. Overall, still really, really happy with these guys. Let's take a look at Slice and Dice of yesteryear and see how they hold up. Here we have Slice and Dice V1, both part of the Ninja Force line. They are some of the later Joes that have the like ninja motion, which I'm not going to bother doing, but you cannot take them apart. So if they break, you're boned. This Slice is what I was talking about. If you haven't seen him in a long time, you see he's got like these little black stars that go all across him. It's corny, but I like it. And then again, I'm just like backing up that this is just like, there's really nothing going on, man. It's just a red ninja basic outfit. But you know, it's a classic. And I do like this outfit a lot. I like Slice and Dice quite a bit also. He's got a couple of markings here that didn't make it over, but I don't think that's any big loss. On the Dice side of things, he's also changed quite a bit if we look at him comparatively. The bandolier concept is still here. I don't know why they didn't make him like this crazy tan. I think that would have actually been really funny. And then you can see how the mask has evolved from here to here. It's gotten like Hawkeye pointy, and then they've added some teeth here. But overall, the rest is here. Dice is definitely much, much more faithful than Slice is. These big boots also have kind of been thinned down a little bit as well. And then they've changed this purple to red. There's a much more red accents. There's like no red on him at all. So pretty cool. You see what I'm talking about with that staff, though? I mean, again, it's a scale thing, right? But I have grown up with this staff, and I have envisioned it as being much thicker and larger. Something that can actually do a little bit of legitimate damage. They also made two modern Slice and Dices, and they were part of the figure subscription service, as a lot of the later figures ended up being. We've covered this with almost every figure up to this point, but I should note that the evolution is much more subtle here, but it's still here. This is the first time, I think, that they've added a second hook sword, and that has carried over, that he now wields two of them. This Slice does still have the star pattern, which I'm a big fan of, and they've even streamlined it more because of reuse, I'm aware, but it even looks more like just a straight-up ninja like practice outfit. I do like this. If we get a retro Slice, I would assume they'll make them both, but if we get a retro slice, that's what I'm going to be looking for. Something a little bit more streamlined, a little less cooked up. Over on the dice side of things, I don't have his bow staff on this one for some reason. Again, this is a victim of reuse parts, but uh, basically everything's the same. They've actually changed this for significantly for the worse, so I'm glad it reverted as well. Really, there's nothing about this dice figure that I think is an improvement compared to the original. So, other than, I mean, you do see, well, you know what? Look at this, and then look at that. So again, there is some modern. There's almost every classified figure we've looked at has had some little piece of modern lore that's traveled with it, and I'm very interested in seeing that. It would have never occurred to me that the classified dice would have those shoulder pads and that they would have come from this figure subscription service. Not great execution, but I do love seeing how much the modern line is influencing this line. I would be remiss if I did not mention my favorite slice and dice moment in the history. I know they were in the bad G.I. Joe cartoon, but I don't have a lot of that stuff just stored for easy access like I do this moment. And it's the second time I'm bringing up G.I. Joe 133 from the Marvel run. Previously, I referenced it because it's an awesome cover that has Snake Eyes V4 on it. And now, it's the interior of this actually has my favorite slice and dice scene of all time. Snake Eyes is infiltrated, I think they're on Cobra Island. They're in a castle and nobody else is there except for Firefly. Slice and Dice have been hypnotized to serve Firefly. Snake Eyes is sent into the castle to snoop it out, and Slice and Dice are beneath him. And Snake Eyes, using his ninja sense, takes his sword and takes it through the floor, and it goes into Slice's hand. And Slice basically looks at Dice and he's like, "Well, did you think I was going to scream? I'm a trained professional ninja. Calm down." And it's such a cool moment. One of the few cool moments with Slice and Dice. But the potential of Slice and Dice, I think, is great. If you just push out that cartoon, and you can lean into the very limited appearances they've had in the comic, but they are a cool character. A like duo ninja team that doesn't look, I mean, the name is goofy, but they look cool. So yeah, I think the potential for these are great. I have to say, we were talking about price earlier, but you do get a lot of stuff for only an extra $5, so I'm not mad about that at all. I mean, obviously they were going to sell them together. It's surprising they didn't do this with Tomax's Amok, quite honestly. But yeah, I would not have imagined them packaging them separately, and I'm glad they didn't, because they just like, they gotta have them together. I just don't know how else would you play with them. You can't even say their name. Anyway, that's going to do it for us today, and I would love to hear some thoughts on your Slice and Dice Classified. Did you pick it up? Did you pass on it? What are your thoughts on it if you've already received it or as it's on the way? You can leave us a comment here. You can email us at anythingjoespodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and we look forward to talking to you on our next episode, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.